my adoption experience.
In England, since March 21st, 2020, there's been 80,000 children who are in care, but only 3,440 of them were adopted. This is quite a big number, which, all children need to have the security and safety to develop and grow in their life. And I'm part of that percentage, not in 2020, but 1999, that was adopted to get the growth and the life they need. So this video is going to be about my experience of being adopted. Hi, my name's Courtney and I'm here to talk about important topics that need to be talked about, which is why I chose to do a video on my experience of being adopted by answering the most frequently asked questions. I think it's important to do this, mainly because not many people talk about being adopted. I mean, I know younger children ask about it now, but I noticed none of my friends really talked to me about it, so I thought it'd be important. And also, since we're talking about adoption, this week marks 17 years of being adopted. So 17 years of the family I've got, which is amazing. And cool because I spent the actual 17 mark day with my sisters. We were reunited, all four of us, for the day. So that was nice. So we're going to start with the first question because I have written them down. Do I remember when I found out I was adopted? Yes, I did. Because I was in primary school and I asked my mum about something about when I was a baby, and she had to tell me I was adopted because she couldn't lie and say, yes, you did this when you were a baby, when she didn't know the answer. So I found out when I was like 8 or 9, I think. I was in primary school like year 3, so I think it was like 8 or 9. I have a question. Do you all look alike? Me and my sisters, we look alike in the sense that we used to get mistaken for each other all the time. Obviously now we've grown up, my hair's different to theirs and I look different to them and I do different stuff. But we did used to get called each other's names a lot, which is really annoying. Even though I don't look anything like my sisters nowadays, I used to get called my sister Elsie or Kirsty all the time, which was really annoying. I mean, now we look completely different because I've got longer hair and I wear makeup and my sisters don't. So it's a bit different. We look a bit different now. And I sound a bit different to them. Why didn't my birth parents keep me? I don't know why they didn't. I get told so many different stories about this and I don't really know the true story behind it. And do I really want to know? I do, but I don't. There's a lot of trauma to find out the real reason, so I think we'll just leave it for another year or two not knowing. I mean, I'm older now, I'm 21. Could have found out when I was 18, chose not to. You don't have to choose or decide straight away as soon as you get 18 to find out why you were adopted or not. I haven't, and right now I'm happy not knowing. I mean, my sisters know and they haven't told me because I asked them not to. Even though they are blabbermouths. With stuff like that, I mean, they talk about stuff and I don't know any of it. But if my birth parents hadn't given me up, I wouldn't have had the family I've got now, and I still get to see my sisters technically whenever I want. Usually whenever I want. But I don't see them that much because I have a job and I'm busy. But I'm glad that I got adopted because now I live somewhere nice. I have a different life. I'm going into what I want to do. And my life would have been different if I'd stayed with my birth parents, so I'm glad I went. And I got the life I've got. Did I have a different name when I was born? Yes. I used to have a different name when I was born. I'm not going to tell you what it is because this is going on YouTube. And I don't really want to say what my last name would have been. But it had the same letters as my name. So my last name's Burke, so it was the same first letter of that. So I did have a different name. And I didn't used to have 2 middle names. My middle names are Tara and Margaret, and I didn't used to have them. I used to apparently only have Tara. Yeah, I only used to have Tara, so it wasn't so bad. Do my birth parents regret putting me up for adoption? I hope they do, but I haven't asked. I mean, I had them on Facebook, and I never really asked that question because I felt it was a bit awkward because they have got other children now, which is a bit annoying. So I didn't ask, so I hope they regret putting us up for adoption, but I was only 4, so I'm not really bothered if they didn't. But I have a credible life now, so who really cares? I'm not really bothered anymore. I have a good life. better life than I probably would if I'd stayed with them. Did I go through a phase of feeling upset that I was adopted? Yes, I did. I went through a phase of being upset quite a lot about being adopted, because when people in school talking about, like, the parents were talking about when, you know, like in a class when we were talking about like being a baby and like what your first word was, my mum doesn't know what my first word was because obviously she was my birth mum, so she's not gonna know. So yes, I did go for a phase, and I didn't want to upset my mum. I have now talking about it, so we don't really talk about it, which is bad, but you know. And I also felt that my birth parents hated me, and that's why they gave me up when I was younger. Obviously, you know, it's a bit difficult because maybe they couldn't cope or what, but I did go for a phase. From when I went to high school, when they were like doing all that, like getting to know each other and getting to know like your life and stuff, that's when I struggled, because I was like, do I take my family now or the family that I originally have? So I didn't really know. Do you want to track down your birth parents? I have tracked down my birth mum and dad, and I used to talk to them a lot. Now I don't talk to either of them or any of the family apart from my sisters. So it's not great always to track down your birth parents, because sometimes the expectations of who they are and what they're like is too high. Mine was too high. My birth parents are nothing like I expected, and really, I'm kind of wish I hadn't, because then I could have just imagined what they were like instead of actually knowing what they were like. I just dropped a piece of paper. Do I know what my birth parents look like? I do, obviously, because I've seen their picture on Facebook. And I used to have them on Facebook, so I do know what they look like. Do I feel lucky being chosen? I do feel lucky that I was chosen, like, when I was adopted, because there was, like, my sisters as well that were there. Yes, because I have a different life to what I would have had if I'd stayed. Like, if I hadn't been adopted, I wouldn't have had the friends I have now, and I wouldn't have been able to have the experiences I have now. Because like the experience I'm having to what my sister's having is quite different. And I also got the care and the love and the security I needed to grow as a person, being with the people I'm with now, which I don't know if I would have if I hadn't been adopted. And I'm thankful that my parents adopted me, because now I have a good life and I'm working towards becoming an actress, and I'm also a teaching assistant, so I wouldn't have been able to do that without them believing in me, you know. So it's quite difficult sometimes, because you're like, if I hadn't been adopted, would I have been able to do this? Or wouldn't I? So I'm still glad that I was adopted. Was it easy being adopted at 4 years old? A little bit, but I was young, so I had no idea what was going on. And I can't remember being 4 years old. I only started remembering stuff from when I was 7, so I don't remember anything from when I was a baby till like I was 7, so it didn't really affect me in that sense till I got older and I understood I was adopted and stuff. Do I consider my adopted family as your real family? Yes, I do. I do, because they're the ones who brought me up. They're the ones who have cherished me and like taken me on holidays and treated me to stuff and looked after me, given me the care I need. You know, they've given me the advice and the skills to grow and live my life, and they believe in what I want to do in my life. You know, I don't want to be a doctor or anything. I want to be like an actress, and I'm a teaching assistant right now, so they let me follow my dreams and trying to help me achieve them is what they're doing. So my adopted family is technically, yes, my real family right now. I still have my sisters, I still have them in my life, so I still have like my original family, but I also have my adopted family now, which are a lot better. Do I want to meet my birth parents? I do and I don't, because it can be quite traumatic going through that and learning stuff you didn't know or didn't want to know. So I want to know because I want to know the reason they gave me up, but then I don't, because what if it's something I didn't want to know? Like if it's a bad thing and I didn't want to know, or it upsets me, then I have to go through all that getting over that again. So I decided not to right now, but who's to say I won't go see them or meet them in a few years? You know, maybe I will, maybe I won't. But my experience of being adopted is, if you get adopted young enough, like when you're like a baby or 4, it's a lot easier, like to not get over it, but to like to understand it a bit more, because when you get older and your parents actually tell you you're adopted, they tend to tell you when you're meant to be older than like 9, like I was. You're meant to be older than 9. Usually when you're adopted, you get told normally when you're about like 10 or 11 or 12 and you can understand it more, but I got told when I was younger. But luckily for me, I have 3 older sisters, so you know, they've been there for me and chatted to me, and they have always said if I ever want to know anything, I can ask. But I don't really think I want to like dredge up all that because I'm kind of happy right now. But I thought it was good to do this video to talk to people about it. And adoption is good. Obviously, some people choose not to adopt. They choose to foster. Anything is better than nothing. Like, you can have your own children, you can adopt, you can foster. You know, anybody looking after a child in the nicest, kindest way and cherishing them and looking after them and making sure they're secure is better. Luckily for me, I had all that, so I've had the good part of being adopted. Obviously, some people have the bad parts, but I've had the good parts. So I hope you liked my adoption experience, and I will try and do videos on cool topics like this that needs to be talked about more.